When Dae-Young finds out that Dae-Young has another chance to be scouted by a prestigious college for basketball, she makes the painful decision to end things for his sake. Though it breaks her heart, she believes it's the right thing to do. Dae-Young pleads with her, begging to stay, saying he doesn't care about the opportunity, he just wants to be with her and the kids. But Dae-Young gently stops him, her voice trembling as she reminds him that he already gave up his dream once because of their family. She doesn't want him to make that sacrifice again. This time, she wants him to choose a future where he can finally chase what he once gave up. Her words are filled with love, not rejection, and though it hurts them both, she lets him go so he can have another chance at the life he deserves. Dae-Young spends the entire night alone, throwing basket after basket, desperately trying to turn back time, to reclaim the life he lost. Each shot echoes through the empty space, filled with the weight of his longing. But nothing changes. No matter how hard he tries, he's still stuck in his new body. Exhausted and overwhelmed, he finally breaks down, screaming into the silence, angry, heartbroken, and powerless. On the day of the finals game, Dae-Young arrives at the school, but the idea of watching Dae-Young play is too painful to bear. The emotions are too raw, the memories too close. She turns and walks away, crossing the bridge with heavy steps. But before she can leave, Dae-Young catches up to her, breathless. Dae-Young breaks down in front of him, crying that he's going to regret this all over again. She blames herself, saying it's her fault, that if she hadn't told him she knew who he really was, maybe he would have been free to move forward without guilt. Maybe he could have had a real chance. But Dae-Young gently stops her. It's not your fault, he says, looking into her eyes. It's because of you. He tells her that for a long time, he saw giving up basketball as a sacrifice. But over time, he came to realize that the quiet, precious moments he shared with her and the kids, the laughter, the love, the life they built together, those were the real victories. They meant more than anything the game ever gave him. As Dae-Young speaks from the heart, something changes. His voice deepens, and Dae-Young freezes. Slowly, she lifts her eyes and sees him. Not the teenage version, but the man she married, the man she's loved for years. Dae-Young is back in his older body. His eyes shine with emotion as he continues, his voice steady but full of feeling. He tells her that for a long time, he didn't understand how precious their life together truly was, and if he could go back 18 years, he wouldn't change a thing. But Dae-Young, he says gently, you didn't ruin my life. You gave me a chance. And my decision back then, it was the best decision I've ever made. I'm not going to miss out on that chance again. You are my first love and my last. You are my life. I love you. Tears stream down Dae-Young's face as she reaches up to touch his. Her hand trembles against his cheek. I missed you, she sobs, the pain and love of all those lost years rushing out at once. On the same bridge where they once promised to spend their lives together, they kiss, deeply, tenderly, renewing that vow with full hearts and open eyes. Hand in hand, Dae-Young and Dae-Young hurry back, where Shivu's team, Serim High, is trailing by 10 points with only a few minutes left on the clock. The players look tired, weighed down by pressure. Spotting his son on the court, Dae-Young calls out to him. Shivu. Their eyes meet. Dae-Young gives him a solemn, proud nod, no words, just a silent promise of belief and support. Shivu's face changes, something in him lifts. Fired up, Shivu turns to his teammates. I play basketball because of my dad, he says, voice strong. He's here today, he came to see me play for the first time ever. I want to win this. Let's do this together. Jasak throws his fist in the air and shouts a cheer, rallying the team. Suddenly, Serim comes alive. They push forward, sinking one basket after another, narrowing the gap to just 2 points. With only seconds left, the buzzer sounds, and Shivu shoots a clean, perfect three-pointer. The ball swishes through the net. Serim wins. The crowd erupts in cheers. Dae-Young stands tall, pride and joy written all over his face, while Dae-Jung grips his hand tightly, both of them watching their son with hearts full of love and hope. Shivu rushes toward his father after the game, but as he gets close, he suddenly hesitates. It's been so long, too long, and he's not sure how to close the distance between them. But Dae-Young just smiles, warm and full of pride, and that's all it takes. Shivu steps into his arms, and they hold each other tightly, both of them crying a little. You did well, my son, Dae-Young says softly, and Shivu clings to him, finally feeling the connection he'd missed for so long. Later that day, Xia is leaving her makeup class when she runs into the same girl who recently humiliated her in public. The bully blocks her path and demands an apology, but Xia stands firm. No, she says, calm and clear. When the girl lunges at her in frustration, Xia swiftly knocks her off balance, and the bully falls to the ground. Just then, the girl's father arrives, furious. He shouts at Xia, demanding she apologize to his daughter. But Xia refuses again, she did nothing wrong. The crowd begins to gather. Before things can escalate, Dae-Young appears and steps between them. Looking at Xia, he says, you were wrong, to think this man is too dumb to see what really happened here. The other father looks confused. Then Dae-Young continues, and you can't just explode every time someone tries to push you around. You're stronger than you know, and girls like that are fragile. You could seriously hurt someone. Dae-Young's words are calm but pointed, cleverly framing the truth in a way that leaves the bully's father with no room to argue. The watching crowd murmurs in agreement. Xia had only defended herself. Faced with the truth and public pressure, the father turns to his daughter and tells her to apologize. When Dae-Young insists that he, too, should apologize to Xia, the man resists, but Dae-Young holds his gaze and says firmly, she's just as precious to me as your daughter is to you. With that, the man finally mumbles an apology. As the situation settles, Xia turns to Dae-Young, still shaken but grateful. How did you show up right then? She asks, blinking through tears. Dae-Young smiles gently. I came because I missed you. Overcome, Xia throws her arms around him and begins to cry. Dae-Young holds her tightly and whispers, I'm sorry I made you wait so long. That evening, the whole family goes out to dinner together. The mood is warm and full of emotion. Dae-Young looks at his children and says, I'm sorry I disappeared. I should have come back sooner. Dae-Jung and Dae-Young gently ask the twins how they would feel about him moving back in, about being a family again. Tears well up in both Xia and Shivu's eyes, and they nod. It would make us happy, they say, their voices full of hope. But just as the family is beginning to settle into this moment of peace, something unexpected happens. Somewhere online, someone posts a video of Dae-Jung. The clip spreads fast, appearing across social media, news feeds, and group chats. People are shocked. It's clearly the latest scandal. Back at home, Dae-Jung stares at her phone, confused and overwhelmed as over 60 new messages flood in. Just then, Xia bursts into the room. Mom! Look at this, she says breathlessly, showing her the video. Dae-Jung watches in stunned silence, not yet knowing what it means, but sensing that everything is about to change again. It turns out the video lighting up the internet is CCTV footage from the day Dae-Young protected Vyumi from a man secretly filming an upskirt video of her. The clip clearly shows Dae-Young stepping in and stopping the creep, making her a public hero. Phones at every desk in JBC won't stop ringing, with people asking about her, praising her bravery. In the newsroom, Woonki quietly figures out the source. Vyumi herself posted the video. Though she insists otherwise, even director Moon smirks and says it's the best thing she's done since joining the company. That night, Dae-Young notices Dae-Young's planner left open. It's packed with back-to-back meetings and job offers, a clear sign of how in demand she's suddenly become. Without hesitation, he decides what she needs is a manager, and appoints himself. Taking the role seriously, he escorts Dae-Young through the crowd of reporters swarming the entrance of the JBC building, shielding her with a calm confidence. When she accepts an offer to host a new show where athletes mentor children, Dae-Young lets her go inside to start planning, promising to handle the rest of the details for her. As she walks through the building, Dae-Young runs into Vyumi. She gently asks if Vyumi was the one who posted the video. Vyumi nods and explains that she did it because she knew it was the right thing. She admits she had been unfair and harsh toward Dae-Young in the past, even getting her fired, but when she saw that footage, she thought, if that were my sister, I'd want the whole world to know. Her words leave Dae-Young touched, surprised by the unexpected kindness. Later, outside the building, Dae-Young stops in his tracks when he spots Dae-Young waiting for him. He smiles, soft, a little shy himself. You know, he says, I used to worry all the time, if I'd even get to see you, or whether I could come up with some excuse just to talk to you. But now, he glances at her with affection. Now you're waiting for me. Dae-Young looks away, flustered but clearly moved. Dae-Young grins and teases her, saying, a smart anchor woman once said, some things still need to be said, even in a marriage. Later, Dae-Young visits Xia's school to speak with teacher OK about her future. He admits that at first, he felt disappointed when he learned Xia didn't want to go to college. But now, he says with honesty, he wants to support whatever dream she chooses, even if it's different from what he expected. As he leaves, teacher OK watches him go with a puzzled expression, quietly muttering to herself, why does he look so familiar? That night, Shivu is alone on the basketball court, lost in thought. As he practices, he remembers one of the last conversations he had with Woo-young, his mysterious friend. Back then, he had been so excited, imagining them going to college together, teammates, brothers in spirit. But Woo-young had said he was returning to the US soon, and something about the way he said it had always stayed with him. Now, Shivu starts to wonder if there was more to that goodbye than he realized. Shivu had once asked Woo-young if he thought he'd regret not going to Hankook University. Woo-young, who was really Dae-Young, had replied with quiet honesty. He said there are things in life more important than basketball, and that his biggest regret wasn't the path he chose, but not realizing what truly mattered until much later. He told Shivu to live fully, to treasure the people around him, and to carry these days not as regrets, but as good memories to hold on to. Now, alone on the court, Shivu hears someone call his name. Expecting to see his friend, he turns and stops in surprise. It's his father, standing behind him, smiling. Dae-Young walks over and says casually, "You're pretty good at basketball." It's the exact thing Woo-young used to say, and Shivu's eyes widen. They both smile, and Dae-Young challenges him to a match. First 1 to 10 points wins, loser buys drinks. Of course, Dae-Young's older body slows him down, and he loses with good humor, laughing as he catches his breath. As they rest, Shivu looks at his dad and says that playing with him feels just like playing with Woo-young. He was a friend who was always there when I needed him, he adds. Dae-young pauses, touched, then gently asks, can I take his place? Be that friend for you, the one who's always there. Shivu grins, wide and certain, like it's the best idea he's ever heard. That evening, Dae-young and Da-jung sit side by side on the staircase in their home, the quiet wrapping around them like a blanket. They reminisce about when the twins were babies, the sleepless nights, the tiny hands, the laughter. Dae-young's eyes soften. The biggest mistake of my life, he says, was thinking of that time as something to regret. He turns to her and adds, but I've learned, if you treat those moments as lessons instead of regrets, they can lead to new beginnings. When they step back inside, they find a letter waiting for them, an invitation from Ji-hoon, along with VIP tickets to his next game. It's his way of saying thank you. On game day, Da-jung arrives first. She greets Ji-hoon warmly, and he notices something right away. She's wearing the bracelet he secretly bought her. Da-jung, catching his glance, says it was a gift from a fan and that it seems to bring her good luck. Later, Dae-young joins her in the skybox and notices a young girl standing nearby, Seo-yeon, Ji-hoon's niece. She doesn't recognize him, but he remembers her clearly from her accident. He smiles and says softly, it's good to see you again. On the court, Ji-hoon, who's been in a slump, walks out wearing the old baseball mitt Da-jung once autographed for him. Fueled by gratitude and something deeper, he plays with fire in his eyes, fierce and focused, finally reclaiming his spark. After the game, Ji-hoon is interviewed courtside by none other than Wayumi. Breathless from the win but clearly glowing, he credits his victory to someone special. Wayumi, always quick on the uptake, asks him to give that person a shout-out. Ji-hoon turns to the camera, grinning wide, and calls out with full heart, Seo-yeon. Your uncle won. The crowd cheers, and somewhere in the stands, Seo-yeon beams with pride. Later, Ji-hoon crosses paths with Dae-young. Dae-young, now just a fan in the crowd, smiles and says, I'm a big fan of yours. Ji-hoon, with genuine warmth, replies, the feeling's mutual. They shake hands, an unspoken respect passing between them, built on more than just basketball. Meanwhile, Dukjin is preparing for his own mission. Suiting up in a highly realistic Iron Man costume, he heads to a cosplay party, determined and fully in character. His high-tech suit even flies him above the crowd, hovering until he spots her, Teacher OK, standing across the room in a perfect Pepper Potts outfit. When he lands and makes his way over, she smiles, both amused and touched. She tells him she recently spoke with Woo-young, who told her the truth, that Dukjin isn't his father, just a very good person who helped him through a hard time. Now that the misunderstanding is cleared up, Teacher OK says there's no longer any reason to keep pretending she doesn't care. I want to be there for you from now on, she says softly, her eyes warm. And by the way, the Iron Man suit is perfect. They lean in for a kiss, but Dukjin's bulky helmet gets in the way. After an awkward pause and a shared laugh, Teacher OK grabs his helmeted head, yanks it to the side, and plants a firm kiss on him anyway. The crowd around them erupts in cheers, and for once, Dukjin is speechless, his heart soaring higher than the suit ever could. 2 years later, Xia arrives at a stylish restaurant for her first high school reunion, walking in with a confident smile and her closest friends at her side. Across the room, another reunion banner hangs, for Serim High's older alumni, her parents' class. At that table, however, sits only one person, the bitter woman who once tried to destroy Da-jung's career. Glancing at her phone, the woman joins a chat room meant for their class reunion, only to discover the painful truth: they sent her to the wrong location on purpose. Tired of her toxic attitude, her former classmates had collectively decided not to invite her to the real celebration. She sits in silence, surrounded by empty chairs. Back at Xiaha's table, the energy is bright. Jiho, still by her side after all these years, sits proudly next to her, now a medical student. He presents her with an enormous bouquet of flowers as an apology for always being so busy with his studies. Xia blushes slightly, touched. Across from them, Jasag watches the scene with a faint scowl. She hates big gestures like that, he mutters, but Jiho just smiles. Apparently not when it's from a long-term boyfriend, Xia teases gently, making Jasag look even gloomier. He grabs his beer, takes one dramatic sip, and immediately passes out, slumped over the table, earning a few chuckles from the group. Shivu, on the other hand, is noticeably absent from the reunion. That's because he's busy having yet another spat with Somi, now officially his girlfriend. They argue just outside the venue, her arms crossed in frustration. You smiled at fangirls, she accuses. Shivu sighs, but there's no real anger in his voice, only amusement. She's a fan, he says, then adds more seriously, but I'm not letting you go, Somi. You've been there for me through everything. I learned from my dad, you don't let go of the woman who sticks by you during the hard times. Somi softens, her glare turning into a reluctant smile. And just like that, the fight begins to fade, their bond stronger than the small sparks between them. At the reunion, Xia and her friends inevitably start reminiscing about Wu Yang, the mysterious, kind-hearted basketball player who left such a lasting impression on all of them. They talk about his skills on the court, but even more about the way he always showed up when someone needed him. Jiho smiles quietly as they talk. He knows the truth that no one else does, that Wu Yang was really Dae-Young, living out his second chance. And though Wu Yang disappeared from their lives, Jiho simply says, he's doing fine. And he is. Dae-Young is now living his dream, running his very own sports school where he teaches young kids how to play basketball. He's in his element, cheering, guiding, encouraging. There's joy in the way he moves, in the way he talks to the kids, and it's clear that this is exactly where he's meant to be. Da-Jung, meanwhile, has her own thriving career. She hosts a popular TV show called Jung Da-Jung's Sports Fan Meet, where she connects athletes with their fans. She still keeps in touch with the 3 former JBC interns, and while director Moon has moved on, Woonki now sits proudly in his place as the new director. After one of her show's wraps, Da-Jung steps outside to find Dae-Young waiting for her. He's dressed in a suit, looking both handsome and nervous. Without hesitation, he pulls her into a big hug, right there in public. Da-Jung looks around, slightly flustered. People will see, she whispers. But Dae-Young just smiles and says, so what? We only live once. Let's do what we want. He takes her back to the old school, the place where so much of their story began. Standing at the center line, he picks up a basketball and tells her, if I make this shot, you have to grant me one wish. Da-Jung raises an eyebrow, curious. As he lines up the throw, he calls out, Da-Jung, will you marry me again? The ball sails through the air and lands cleanly in the basket. Walking up to her with a smile, Dae-Young slips a ring onto her finger. I want us to have a real wedding this time, he says. I want to see you in a wedding dress. I might not be able to give you expensive things, but I'll always give you the best I can. Da-Jung is speechless, tears brimming in her eyes. To celebrate her engagement, Aiden takes Da-Jung parasailing. Floating high above the sea, Da-Young laughs freely, the wind in her hair, her joy uncontainable. She sends Dae-Young photos of her flight, her smile as wide as the horizon. Meanwhile, Duk-jin, taking teacher Ok's advice, gives them a wedding present that only he could dream up, a life-sized replica of Deadpool, standing proudly in their home like a ridiculous but heartfelt blessing. Finally, the wedding day arrives. It's a beautiful, intimate ceremony, filled with emotion. Da-Young's mom and Dae-Young's father each give heartfelt speeches, bringing everyone to tears. There's laughter, love, and the quiet sense that all the pain and growth they've endured has led them exactly here. After the ceremony, Dae-Young spots a familiar figure, the old man who once gave him the chance to relive his youth. Their eyes meet for a moment. The man gives him a small smile, then puts a finger to his lips in a zipped lips gesture, as if to say, some secrets are meant to stay kept. Then, without a word, he turns and walks away, leaving Dae-Young with a quiet understanding and a heart full of peace. Dae-Young's voice gently narrates over scenes of their lives. If their story had ended there, it would be a perfect, happy ending. But life keeps moving forward. Sometimes he and Da-Young argue. They have days where they even hate each other. Yet, those hard days don't tear them apart, they help them understand each other more deeply and love each other better. Because of that, they are happier than ever. He remembers a time when they were young, sitting in a park watching an elderly couple walking hand in hand. They promised each other they would grow old together too. Now, they renew that promise as we see them, and other couples like Xia and Jiho, Shivu and Somi, Dukjin and teacher OK, walking side by side into their futures. The last image is of Da-Young and Dae-Young, old and grey, still deeply in love, still holding hands. Dae-Young's voice returns, full of warmth and hope, looking back, endless happiness was always part of our lives. It's a simple gift that anyone can have. For that happiness, we chose to love the decisions we made. We chose people based on love, and we are grateful for those choices. To my loved ones, and to myself, I send my encouragement, now and forever. In life, even if happiness seems to slip away, as long as you have that one person willing to search for happiness with you, your life is worth living. Don't forget to love each other. Be disappointed only when you fail to cherish each other better. And promise to make tomorrow better. Because that's how our lives will go on.